We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Wednesday, got a busy week going up. And I'm very fortunate tonight to have a guest with me, guest you know very well. His name is Eric. So, Eric, uh, you're our Iowa correspondent for what it's worth. But Eric, thanks for joining me on the show today. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I guess I'm your Iowa correspondent. Uh, Weird being down here in Iowa. It's a lot of red, but at the same point, I do see bits of blue. And I think if we got the messaging out better, we might be able to at least turn the state purple.
Well, I think there is some blue in Iowa, most notably at football games in Iowa, the Iowa State Iowa game. Now I know you weren't at the game, but that had to be interesting when you saw that on the front pages of all these people booing Donald Trump and giving him the finger, and then having the Republicans have the audacity to strip the audio and put cheering in there. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, that really made me laugh. It's like, how desperate do you have to be to do something like that? And I know you've mentioned it, how politics kind of reminds you of wrestling, and
Yeah.
Tony Michaels always says we're at the intersection of WrestleMania and real life. But that reminds me of watching wrestling in the '90s and early 2000s, where they would pump in crowd noise
Yeah.
to make things even bigger if they weren't getting the reactions they wanted. And it's like, what are you doing? Why do you have to keep propping this guy up to make it look like everybody loves him? Just admit that he's a loser and move on.
That's the interesting thing. Why do they do that? I mean, they can strip the audio and make it look like everybody loves him, but the fact of the matter, the people that were at the games hate him. Their minds aren't changed. They still hate the fucker. It just kind of goes to show what the Republicans are all about. They're of no substance. It's all about perception, and they believe if they can create this perception, this positive perception, that everybody else in the world will believe it. And I think they're failing miserably at this point.
They're not doing nearly as well as they used to at the messaging game. Um, they used to be really good at it, and they used to get people to believe whatever bullshit line they would say, and if they could make it look like they were in the right, or that they were the popular one, people bought it. But the Democratic messaging, thanks to things like TikTok, the Rational Boomer podcast, and the like, the Democratic messaging and the liberal messaging has gotten out there, and it's resonating with so many more people that they're like, oh, these fucks aren't the majority. They're
Yeah.
not anywhere close, and they're not buying the bullshit. 10, 15 years ago, that might have worked. That trick might have actually, you know, had some people like, oh man, he is actually kind of popular. Wow, look at him cheering for him in Iowa.
Yeah. Everybody loves Donald Trump. Can you imagine? I know you're younger than I am, so you wouldn't remember this, but think about the 60s and early 70s. You got three networks. The news is on maybe twice a day. It would have been very easy to mislead or lie to people or just not inform them. And I think we've come a long way with that regard. We have the 24-hour news cycle, which isn't great. But I think people in this country are more and better informed than we've ever seen in history. And that's working against the fucking Republicans.
Oh, most definitely. Their bullshit's not being bought by nearly as many people. We know more now. I know they're trying to change their messaging and soften their tone on certain things, thinking it'll bury certain narratives and be like, well, no, that's not exactly what we're talking about. But people aren't falling for it anymore because we're able to show and fact check in real time, just like, and we're fact checking both sides. Like I saw
Yeah.
they were fact checking Joe Biden about 9/11, and no, he wasn't there on the 12th, like he said. It was more like the 20th.
Yeah.
But that was still better than anything Donald Trump said or did,
Oh,
or
yeah.
has claimed he did. Um, but we're fact checking both sides, and we're fact checking them in real time. How fast does a tweet go up or a truth go up from Donnie Trump, and somebody's countering behind it with facts, or it's being blasted all over TikTok? Hey, look at this stupid shit that he's saying now.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about trying to control the narrative and create a perception, of course, the Republicans were all over 9/11, and they were touring New York, and they were looking for photo ops and all of that shit, talking about the tragedy of it all. But it's funny, they don't treat all tragedies or events in this country the same, because as much as they seem to feel sympathy for 9/11, they didn't back when it happened, and they created conspiracy theories after the fact. But we had some similar tragedies crop up. We had COVID. We had, and how did they react then? They said it was a hoax. Donald Trump did nothing, in spite of the fact that 1 million people died and the whole country was closed down. It's my contention that had Donald Trump done anything that a normal president would have done, it wouldn't have been as bad as what we saw. Not as many people would have died, and we probably wouldn't have had to close down the country. And then you go back ahead to January 6th, the insurrection. How do they feel about that? Oh, it's a hoax. It was just a quiet protest. They'll say whatever they have to say to gain whatever advantage they have. We can't understand what they even fucking believe, because they never keep it straight. They never say the same thing twice.
Oh, that's very true. And what you were saying on COVID, I said it at the time, and I still believe it to this day. The universe looked at Donald Trump and said, "We're going to give you another term." And if he would have taken COVID seriously, the universe almost handed him a second term on a
Right.
silver platter, and he went, "I knew better."
Right. And the whole
And
thing about it is, the reason he tried to discount and shush COVID is because he believed, in his arrogant, narcissistic mind, that he would be faulted for COVID and it would affect the 2024 election. Little did he know, it did affect the 2024 election, and he made the wrong choice.
right, I mean, like I said, he was handed a second term. If he would have handled it with the grace and dignity of a normal person, handled it like Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, any of them would have said, "You know what? Medicine's not my area of expertise. Here are the experts. We're going to follow what they say. We're going to get through this." We would have got through it. We would have had minimal deaths. It wouldn't be, we probably wouldn't still be dealing with it and all the mutations that we're dealing with now.
Right.
And unfortunately, we'd be in the middle of a second term Donald Trump presidency.
I think we need to put a caveat on that, though. You're right. If he would have handled the COVID epidemic or pandemic better, that would have fared well for him in the 2024 election. But there's one other thing he would have to do in order to win that 2020 election that he's just not capable of. Shut the fuck up. Because if he'd kept his mouth shut from the time he became president, he wouldn't be in the trouble he's in now. Even if he did all that shit, we would have never known if it wasn't for his blabbing.
Oh yeah, he doesn't know when to shut the hell up. As it's been said about him so many times with all these investigations, he has the right to remain silent, but he doesn't have the ability.
Right.
Because all he does is run his mouth about whatever pops into his head at the latest point. And I haven't seen any of his messages out today, but with the latest story being out about the E. Jean Carroll case, no, it's the Letitia James case,
Right.
where his attorney didn't put out he
Yeah.
didn't request the jury. I'm surprised he's not running his mouth about that and how it's some sort of Joe Biden hoax, and you know, but that'll be the next thing in his mind. And then if the judge comes back, or when the judge comes out with in January with E. Jean Carroll and says, "Oh yeah, you owe her, another $10 million," he'll defame her again because it's the current thing attacking him. He can't look past the current news headline that whatever he sees that's negative about him.
Yeah, he's absolutely compulsive, and he's got diarrhea of the mouth. You mentioned the Letitia James things. I think I mentioned it here on the podcast, but we'll just let folks know what happened with the Letitia James case. Normally, it would be a lawsuit, and there would be a jury to decide who wins and who loses. But Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Baba, what a fucking name is that? What kind of name is that? But anyway, she forgot to file paperwork, and now it's become a bench trial, which means there's no jury, and just the judge is going to make the decision. And let's be honest, this judge is not a fan of Donald Trump. He's sanctioned him. He's fucking admonished him. He's decided against him so many times. He knows exactly who he's dealing with, and that's the last motherfucker that Donald Trump wants judging him.
Oh, definitely. I think this is, I mean, he's going to get a fair trial, but I think the judge, if the evidence is as straightforward as it seems to us, he's probably going to lose. The only thing where Donald Trump might have accidentally, uh, well, he screwed up in his own favor is typically juries award bigger
Right,
verdicts than judges.
right.
So he might come out ahead in this deal. He was probably going to lose anyway, with even with the jury. But there was a chance, that he ends up not owing as much money as he could have.
Well, I think the minimum is 250 million dollars, and if that's it, that's enough to sink him. I mean, it's not only the money, it's the fact that he would be forced to no longer do business in New York. So, you wonder what that means. He's got buildings in New York. Does that mean he has to sell them? Or if he can't pay the $250 million or whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's 100, 250, or a million, a billion too. It doesn't matter. He isn't going to be able to pay it. So then theoretically, his shit could go into receivership. It's no longer creating an income. He can't pay the bills. He's going to lose the motherfuckers anyway.
Oh yeah, I think this potentially has the ability to break him. It's
Oh,
going to
no
be
question.
interesting to see how much when they start seizing his properties, how he tries to turn it into a grift, and how much these dumb fucks will send him. You hear stories. They're putting two, three, four mortgages on their house to send him $10,000.
Uh,
I
did you
mean,
did you hear I just read something just briefly that said he sold a golf club he had in New York. I wonder if they're going to allow that sale given his current situation.
um, depending on who he sold it to, maybe not.
Yeah,
I
good point.
know Hawk on TikTok was saying that they can go back if it's within so close of a trial that they can go back and forcibly reverse
Yeah,
things like that. But I don't know if it like if you sell it to a different person. I know they can if it's like a family member,
right.
but I don't know if you sell it like to another investment company or whatever. I don't know if they can forcibly reverse that, but it wouldn't surprise me if whoever he sold it to or whatever entity ends up being just another shell company that he had created.
Yeah, but and these lawyers, Letitia James and all these other lawyers, they're not stupid. And Donald Trump does some stupid things. I mean, he's not very bright. He doesn't listen to lawyers, and he makes mistakes all the time. The bottom line is with this, I've said it before. I think this lawsuit will be the most devastating thing to happen to him to date. It won't be as devastating if he goes to prison, certainly, but this is going to take away every resource. The essence of who Donald Trump is. He's about power and money. You take that shit away from him, what do you got? You got an old man shitting his pants, eating a fucking Big Mac. That's all you got.
True. And I heard Jack Smith is looking into all of his grifts and his finance or campaign finances. Well, somebody said that they could potentially go back and try to claw back that money from him too.
Absolutely.
So, and he's
Absolutely.
using that to prop himself up. So he sends out a grift. Oh, look, they're taking my house. They're taking my house. Donate to my campaign. And he tries to use that to pay off Letitia James, and they go back. They block all that money coming in anyway, and he gets nailed with even more charges. I mean, he can't help but lose.
Yeah, this is going to destroy him. And I said early on when I wasn't sure that he was going to be put in jail, I think he will now. But I said, even if he doesn't get put in jail, I hope they take all his money, all his property, his reputation, and make him a pariah. And then if he has to walk around Manhattan or Florida, because he probably wouldn't have Mar-a-Lago anymore if they take everything away. If he has to walk around like this worthless bum, that would be a pretty good punishment for Donald Trump, knowing his narcissistic attitude. It would destroy him emotionally, mentally, and probably physically.
Oh, definitely. He couldn't handle the thought of being broke. I mean, I'm sure by his estimations, that's why he's doing all the grifts, having 4 million in his war chest or whatever the number was I saw. To him is probably he considers himself broke, but he wouldn't know what to do if he had to live on a whatever social security payouts are these days. But he couldn't live on that one check once a month.
No. Well, the fact is that PAC you're talking about started out at 150 million, and now it's down to 4 million, and he's not really even buying anything for the campaign. I kiddingly said $4 million to Donald Trump is nothing but Adderall and hooker money, because that's nothing to him. I mean, he's paid out 50, $60 million in legal fees. They're not going to get cheaper between now and when he goes to court. It's going to get more expensive, and there's going to come a point where he just doesn't have the money to do it, and the Trump-a-fucks aren't going to send him enough money because they're running out too.
Yeah, oh, they have to be running out of money. I mean, like the gal you were talking about at the casino, whose husband spent thousands of dollars on the
Right.
Trump stuff. You know, they're spending thousands of dollars, but they don't have thousands.
Right. They don't.
Eventually, they're
Yeah.
just not going to have it.
Yeah. They don't. These people don't have unlimited funds. It's not like Harlan Crow here. They spend 1,000 or 2,000 and they don't go on a trip or they don't eat or whatever they do. All of these people don't have a lot of money. And it sounds like the big donors are walking away from Donald Trump too, which is going to be a real problem for his future.
Oh, definitely. I know the remaining Koch brother is paying out a bunch of money to campaign against him.
Right, right.
Um, and they're one of the big donors. You mentioned Harlan Crow. I don't know if he's donating anything to the Trump cause, but he's another one that's being currently looked at for potentially buying a Supreme Court justice.
I
So
think
who
it's,
knows how long he's even going to be a free person.
yeah, he may
Um,
be in some legal problems too. A lot of these big donors, Leonard Leo. I mean, we have this new information coming out about Leonard Leo and Ginny Thomas. Everybody's saying they're going to let Ginny go. Ginny's going to get nailed. She is too deep into this shit. January 6th, the the money, the grifting with Clarence Thomas, Ginny Thomas. If she doesn't end up in jail, there's something severely wrong.
well, I've said it before on your podcast. The only way I see her not going to jail is I don't think she's smart enough to take a plea deal. But the only way I see her avoiding a prison sentence would be if she did something like, or if Clarence did something like, "Hey, you know what? Drop the charges against her, and I'll retire." But I
Right.
don't know if that'll even be.
That's a possibility, but if I'm negotiating that deal, I would say, okay, Clarence, you want to retire? It's conditional as to whether the Republicans give us a hard time about appointing somebody. If they try to block us or do anything negative to us, you're going to jail, motherfucker. So you better get on the phone to your members of Congress that are your buddies, because you can retire, but if your buddies in the Republican Party are going to still fuck with us, game over. You're going to jail.
Yeah, I don't know if they could pull that off, but that would be a hell of a thing. I mean, if Joe Biden could get a second Supreme Court pick before the end of his first term, that would be big. That could sway the court at least back to 5-4. And John Roberts has been leaning more liberal than conservative, just enough to keep it from going far right. He's more
Right.
centrist.
He's
Um,
nervous. He's nervous because he knows his court is fucked up. It's going to be a horrible legacy for him, and he might be culpable for some shit too.
well, his name hasn't come up with too much, but yeah, and if he doesn't get his house in order, I think one of the things he's afraid of is something we've talked about, the idea that if Joe Biden has no more elections to run, that and they have power in the House and the Senate going forward after the 2024 election, do they fill the court? Do they
Yeah.
take it to 13? And I don't know, as part of that, do they pass a thing that allows Joe Biden to name a different chief justice and maybe bump out John Roberts? Who knows?
It could be. It could. I mean, John Roberts has got some shit too. He sold some property to a billionaire, and that was kind of sketchy. His wife has made tons of money working with and placing lawyers or judges with the Federalists. He's got plenty of shit. I don't think John Roberts is any less dirty than Alito, and Alito's another one that we've got to straighten out. Joe Biden has always said he doesn't think he wants to expand the court. I hope after 2024 and he doesn't have to worry about another election that he opens his mind a little bit and tries to do all we can to fucking straighten this country out. We've got to make some dramatic moves to fix what's been done.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like I've said before, I really do think if he has the House and the Senate in 2024, he's going to push through as much as he can in the first 2 years of his final term, regardless of whether or not he plans to retire. But that way it's done and he
Yeah.
can coast maybe better through his second term, not worrying about his legacy. And I think once he doesn't have to worry about an election and he knows if they get shit done, he's just going to make the midterms that much easier for himself.
Right. Right. It's funny. I get angry with the media because I hear about this all the time, and I keep telling people the same things. This whole concept of the polls telling us that Biden and Donald Trump are neck and neck. There is no way that's true. It's just not true. And then we find out that there's a pollster out there who's sending out this information, who happens to be a uh, a guy or a company that donates to Donald Trump. I mean, how much credibility can you put in that fucking poll? It again, it goes back to what I said about perception. Make people believe it's close so some of the Democrats will stay home. It's not going to work, but that's all they got. It's fucking desperation time.
Oh, definitely. And by playing this neck and neck race, I think one, the media is doing us a major disservice by not playing up the fact that Donald Trump isn't going to be a viable candidate by 2024. If the Letitia James case breaks him as far as I think it will, there's a good chance that he will, whether he might be forced out of the election
Yeah,
financially
right.
after that case. He might just, have to say, I can't because I have no money. I can't run, and he would try to probably coax his followers to write him in or some stupid shit. But um, it won't be until he either officially drops out or like he loses this case and starts losing his properties where the media is going to drop him. And they're doing us a disservice as the American people by not being honest with us about his real chances. Like you said, and you've said several times that they're building up the heavyweight fight.
Right, right, exactly. They're like wrestling or boxing promoters, and it may be a shitty matchup, but they want to make it look to be a great battle of the Titans so they can sell more tickets. That's essentially what the media is fucking doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't see beyond that. If you look a little deeper and you look at the facts, there's no way Donald Trump is even in the fucking race. If Donald Trump goes through this thing with Letitia James and they take all his money and all his property, he's going to be lame in his own right. If the Republicans are smart, they're going to take that opportunity and kick him to the curb when he's at his weakest, because Donald Trump will do nothing but destroy the Republican Party. They know it, but they're too afraid to fucking do anything about it.
True. But even if they do kick him to the curb, he's going to take them down on his way down.
Yeah,
He
well,
won't go quietly into the night.
no,
He's
he
going
won't.
to he's going to take the Republican Party with him, one way or the other. Even if he's not the nominee, even if he is forced to to drop out of the race or whatever, or they kick him out or whatever happens, he is going to burn that party to the ground
Yeah, no
on his
question.
way out. He'll spill every bit of tea he can. He will turn anything and everybody, against each other. Wouldn't surprise me if he tries to sit there, and I don't think he'd take a plea deal,
No, I don't either.
but it wouldn't surprise me if he would turn to like Jack Smith or whatever, have his attorneys go, well, go a little easier on me, or here's everything about them. They turned their back on me, so here's all the information I have on all their dirty deeds. It might not save him, but I could see him doing it, even if it doesn't save him, just
Right.
being petty.
Well, the thing with Donald Trump, he has a difficult time admitting he's wrong, even when it's very clear that he's wrong. But in terms of pleading out, if you're going to plead out, you better have something to trade. Now, Lindsey Graham might have something to trade. Mark Meadows may have something to trade, but Donald Trump is the top of the food chain. Who's he going to trade information on? Nobody. I think the intent here is just to fucking nail him and take him out of the equation. I don't know that he's going to get an opportunity to plead out. What could he give them that would be of any value?
Well, if he has as much stuff as they are speculating that he has on members of Congress, like all the ones that turned from never Trumpers to sycophants, if he's got a whole bunch of dirt on them, depending on how bad it really is, and I'm not talking about the presumed secret for Lindsey Graham,
Yeah.
um, but things like Matt Gaetz, who I'm guessing he's got something on him because he got him to stop holding out for Kevin McCarthy, and just anybody he's got stuff on. Who knows what he has on Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert
Well, consider
and the
this
like.
though. Consider this though. You brought up Matt Gaetz, and we know Matt Gaetz was being investigated, potentially indicted, because he had a partner of his that had all kinds of dirt on him, right? They didn't end up using that because this guy wasn't credible. He was a pathological liar, and you couldn't really count on him or anybody buying what he's saying because he's such a liar. Donald Trump's a similar kind of guy. He could have all kinds of shit, but how is that? How can they count on him and trust him to be truthful, to not just come up with complete bullshit? And besides that, I don't know. His goal isn't to go to court. His goal is what he knows and go to the media and spill the beans. But it doesn't matter. He can do that all day. It's not going to get him out of his situation. Just because Lindsey Graham might have some negative shit against him, which I'm sure he does, that doesn't get Donald Trump out of jail. That just spreads the fucking wealth as far as culpability.
Oh, very much. That's how you and I would think, but that's not how he thinks.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I'm trying to get into his mindset and in his warped sense of how things should be. I could see him thinking, oh, if I give him all this dirt, on well,
I'll be
there's
a
10 or
hero.
15 people I got dirt on. Well, they'd rather go after those 10 or 15, and I'm just one guy who's no longer in the race. They'll leave me alone, not realizing that, he's standing on a mountain of criminality that he's responsible for, and the rest of them might be on anthills.
Right.
I think he's looking at it as 10, 15, 20, 25 people, whatever it is, versus himself. And he's like, oh, way more people. They'd rather go after all of them than me.
What he doesn't understand is if you take a look at all these people that could be indicted, he is far and away the most dangerous to this country. That's why I'm sure these prosecutors just want to take that fucker down and get him out of the mix. All these other people, they'll get theirs in time. That's why Jack indicted him first, and they're waiting for the superseding indictments with regards to January 6th, because there's no time limit on the rest of them. Donnie Trump is time sensitive, so he wants it clear and clean and get that fucker nailed down, and then he can worry about all the other bastards.
Oh, I think you're right. And I think Jack is going to take out Donald, like, when this goes to trial. And one of the things I am kind of sick of hearing, though, is, oh, well, they set the date for March 2nd. That'll never be the date. That'll never be the date. From what I'm hearing from attorneys like Glenn Kirshner and Hawk on TikTok and Legal Dad on TikTok, who are attorneys who have done things in the federal court system.
Right.
Yeah, he might be able to buy himself a week, maybe two.
Right.
3 at the most. And they're saying, no, it's going to happen right around that date. It's not going to be pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. We're not going to look at 2025 or 2026. It's going to happen.
Yeah, there probably will be delays and adjustments, but like you said, and Hawk and Legal Dad said, it's weeks, maybe 2 weeks. It's not enough to make a difference. His time of delaying things forever are over. He's delayed, this is one of the things I said, when he was always trying to delay these things. I said, eventually there is an end to the delays. By delaying, you can't avoid the inevitable. You may be able to delay it a month or 2 months or 6 months, but it's still fucking coming. And when it comes, it's going to be just as bad as if you took it early. And I don't think he understands that. I think he always believes he can get out from under something if he has enough time. But he's used to bullying people and delaying people and costing them a ton of money and then having them drop out. Unfortunately, you can't do that with the U.S. government. You can't run the time out with the U.S. government or run them out of money. They'll take as much money as they need to and shove it down your fucking throat.
Oh, pretty much. I mean, the government is not short of spending lots of money on lots of things, whether we need it or not. And they will take however much they need and however much time they need to prosecute anybody for any crime that they have,
Right.
enough sufficient evidence to prove. And if they think they can get the conviction, and they must, or they wouldn't have brought the charges. But yeah, they'll put however much money against this, and there's no way that Donald Trump can run the clock on time and money, especially not if he loses to Letitia James. But the other thing that I still don't understand, these Trumplafucks, he keeps saying, well, I'm innocent, I did nothing wrong, perfect phone call when it comes to Georgia, or I had the Presidential Records Act with Mar-a-Lago and the documents, or whatever the case he might say, which sounds great in the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
But if he was as innocent as he says he is, and if I was him and staring at hemorrhaging money as bad as he is, I'd be invoking my right to a speedy trial. I would want to get in there, get on the stand, present my case, get cleared of all charges, and be vindicated in weeks.
And focus on running for president, but that's not what he's doing.
No. We all know he's running the campaign for president as a smokescreen and as a diversion and delay tactic of, well, see, they're only charging me because I ran for president. Even though about now is really about when people, within a month or so, maybe talking back to June, July, August, is when they used to announce their candidacy.
Right.
He jumped the gun by 6 to 8 months.
He did that, and the reason he did it is, I don't even know if he really wants to be president again. He thinks this is his only defense to all these crimes. He's got hope in one hand and shit in the other hand, and he's counting on winning the presidency in 2024 so he can pardon himself or do whatever he's going to do. But that's fucking outlandish. He can't win. Here's a guy hoping for something that just talk about pie in the sky. This motherfucker is not going to win. So he's going to have to face jail at some point.
Oh, yeah, he is. And I know it was, I think it was Chris Christie that said when he was prosecuting cases in Georgia that Donald Trump told him that he couldn't do it. He couldn't spend time in jail, and that Chris Christie believes Donald Trump spends every night, barely sleeping because he hears the sound of that jail cell clinking closed behind him because he knows it's coming.
Right. I was talking about a story, with Donald Trump. He's been warned about talking shit about the trial and threatening people and trying to taint the jury and do all that stuff. And we're all wondering, what are they going to do to hold him accountable? They can fine him, but clearly that doesn't work. The other option seems to be put him in jail. And people are reluctant to do that given the circumstances of him being a former president and Secret Service and all that stuff. I don't know they would do that unless all else failed. But somebody else, maybe it was Glenn Kirshner or Andrew Weissman, brought it up. And I think this is interesting. And I think it may be something we end up seeing if he keeps yapping. And that is put him on house arrest. Lock him down in his house. Put an ankle bracelet on that motherfucker and don't let him leave the house. People will say, well, yeah, Mar-a-Lago's beautiful. That's not exactly punishment. Putting Donald Trump in a fucking box and not letting him talk or move around or do rallies would be devastating to him. And that might be the best option to shut him down. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody explores that possibility.
The only caveat I would add with that is they would have to be some sort of and we've seen them do it with other defendants or other even convicted felons and stuff, putting some sort of an internet usage lockdown on him, lock down his internet usage, his social media usage, make it so he couldn't call into Fox and Friends or OAN or whatever. And basically he would have to be in his house, wherever that would be, whether it would be Bedminster or Mar-a-Lago. But the other thing is he couldn't, whichever one they would pick, he wouldn't be able to move like he does.
No.
Oh, it's too hot in Florida. Well, I better go up to Jersey. Oh, it's too cold in Jersey, so I better go to Florida. Imagine getting locked down into Bedminster in the middle of January.
Well, imagine being locked down anywhere during the primary season or during the run for the presidency. That's going to be detrimental if he can't get out and talk and do the shit he normally has done. I think that would be a good bit of leverage to use against him. He might either shut up or we'll get him locked down and let him sit there until the trial.
It could be. I don't think there is anybody that can get through to him and have him follow through unless there are serious consequences. And I think putting him on a house arrest with an ankle bracelet and having whatever procedures they go through to make sure he doesn't have internet access, with the idea being that it is made expressly clear that if he violates it again, he is going to sit his butt in a jail cell like in Fulton County.
Right.
I don't think anybody gets through to him.
No, I don't think so either. I think he thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he does whatever the fuck he wants. He tells the lawyers what to do, and he doesn't listen to the lawyers, and that's got him into nothing but trouble. He's like an incorrigible kid that just never fucking learns until he gets his butt swatted. Now, I don't want to be the one to swat Donald Trump's butt because that could get a little fucking messy, frankly. And it sounds a little disgusting to me, but he's going to come to a realization. See, the thing is, if they came to him and said, okay, you're on house lockdown, That may or may not be difficult for him to do in terms of logistically, but the idea that somebody is forcing him to do something he doesn't want to do, that will really fuck with his head. He loves having control over everything. That's how he's lived his life. But you take that control away and say, you cannot move out of that house. It's going to mess him up. It's going to mess him up. He won't know what the fuck to do.
Oh, definitely. He'll try, maybe, like I said, if they don't take away his social media and everything, he'd be ranting and raving on his social media. Oh, it's so unfair. They're treating me so unfairly. They've never done this to anybody ever before. Well, they do it all the time. But because he's never been told no, never been told, you can't do this, you're not in charge,
Yeah.
to him, it's completely and totally unfair.
You know, I was kind of like that to a certain extent until I got married. I realized I'm not in charge. And then since that time, having a granddaughter, I really know I'm not in charge. No, Grandpa, you do this. Okay, I'll do that. I'll tell you what, Eric, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Eric from Iowa is joining me. We're talking about all kinds of things, but we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, the big story from yesterday. And it, in my mind, is kind of a joke, but it's worthy of talking about. And that, of course, is that Kevin McCarthy stood up in the House of Representatives and said that he's ordering a impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. Now, sometime back, he said that he was going to call for a vote, but he chose not to call for a vote this time, which is kind of interesting. How you feeling about that big impeachment investigation into Joe Biden?
Well, like everything else, I think it's going to go nowhere. Um, I think they're going to have 6 months to a year of quote unquote investigations. Uh, but I think they're not going to find anything. They're not going to have any reason to impeach Joe Biden. And even if they think they found something, unless they've uncovered some hard evidence, it'll never pass a floor vote. And there's
No,
no way he gets removed from the Senate.
no,
And even if, even if it was neck and neck with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, if they pull a sham impeachment and an impeachment trial against Joe Biden, in a trial in the Senate on no charges and no evidence, I think Joe Biden skates to a easy reelection.
no,
There's
I
no
agree.
way this hurts Joe Biden in any way, shape, or form, except with the dumb fucks that already weren't going to vote for him.
Right, right, exactly. Well, the thing about it is I was watching Hawk on TikTok, and he's a lawyer, and he made a good point. He said Kevin McCarthy made this announcement, and then he appointed James Comer and Jim Jordan and somebody else to do the investigation. What's ironic is that's what these guys have been doing for 2.5 years and have found nothing. So, what's going to happen is basically what's been happening, where nothing has happened as far as evidence or witnesses, except that it's going to be on a bigger stage. So I think this blows up in their face. I mean, they were embarrassed in those little hearings that you heard about but didn't really see. These are likely to be on television, or at least big portions of it on television. And when they get embarrassed, I mean, you remember those hearings, the Democrats like Moskowitz or Raskin or Swalwell, they just sat back and took pot shots and embarrassed them every fucking time they turned around. Now we're going to put it on a bigger platform. That's a brilliant idea. That ain't going to work.
Oh, there's no way it works. And then to hear that, like, how does Tony Michaels refer to him? Jim, I don't report sex crimes, Jordan.
Yeah.
To hear he's, heading this thing up, or James Comey, those guys they're already laughing stocks for the most part to begin with, and it's
Right.
easy enough to make fun of them. Then you know, what's the other one? Tony Michael says they're stepping on rakes. It's like the old cartoon where the guy steps
Yeah.
on a rake, comes back up and smacks him in the face.
Right.
That's what these
Right.
guys are doing, and they just keep throwing down more rakes.
Yeah, absolutely. They can't get out of their own way. You know, it's interesting. I think there's a little bit of a game that Kevin McCarthy is playing here, because he's in a spot. He's been in a spot ever since he's been the Speaker of the House. But I think anybody with a reasonable mind knows that this impeachment hearing thing is a big time loser for the Republican Party. It goes without saying. But MAGA wants it. 35 people in a caucus of 218 people, for whatever reason, they give them the power. So they want this investigation into Joe Biden, but they also want to shut down the country with this budget thing. They want big cuts, and we're going to shut down the country. My question to them is, so what is it you want? Because you can investigate Joe Biden, but if you shut down the country, guess what? The investigation into Joe Biden stops. So either way, you fucking lose. Pick one or the other. But you can't have both, because you're going to fuck yourself up, shoot yourself in the foot.
Oh yeah, and I think Kevin McCarthy is probably going to leverage it, and he's gonna get something done last minute, and even the MAGA uh, caucus is going to say, "Well, we had to agree to the budget so that way we can have money to fund our investigation into Joe Biden,"
Right.
and they're going to spin it. But I don't see anything coming out of the impeachment inquiry. Joe Biden has done nothing wrong as president, nothing that is warranting of impeachment, in my opinion, nothing that qualifies as high crimes or misdemeanors, I think is the wording in the Constitution. Um, so I don't see it going anywhere. It's a loser, just like these guys. They're losers. And
Well,
then
this
it's not going to help them in 2024.
Well, they started this investigation prior to 2020 under Donald Trump's administration. If there was something there to be found, seemed reasonable, they would have brought it out before the 2020 election to benefit from it the most, but they weren't able to do it. They set it aside. And these people are so desperate to come up with something, they take a shit case, pull it from the ashes, and then try to revive it. They realize they can't convict anybody because there's nothing to convict people of, but they think that they can create this narrative that somehow stains Joe Biden. But this is all they ever do, so it never works. It's just a whole. It's futile what they're doing, and I can't believe they don't understand that.
No, they don't. They're trying to win the battle in the court of public opinion because they're watching what Donald Trump has done with his base and all of his rantings, and 35% of Republicans still buy anything and everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And for whatever reason, Republicans think that they can do the same thing on a national stage against Joe Biden and get 30, 35, or 40% of the country
Right.
to buy it when it's only going to be that same 30% or whatever of the Republican Party.
Well, and it's kind of hard to control the narrative or the court of public opinion when you've got half the Republicans on trial and the other half testifying against the same fucking Republicans. You got a lot of people in trouble or testifying. I don't see how they think they're going to win. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not. But they don't have, but like we've talked about several times, that they don't have any other options at this point. They're getting shot down at their attempts to gerrymander, getting told no, you got to have a special master and redraw your districts again in with Alabama. Um, and then was it Wisconsin or Ohio? One of the two have to redraw again.
Right.
And if they don't listen, they're going to have a special master redoing their districts. Um, they can't gerrymander it hardly any more than it already is gerrymandered.
Right.
They can't win. They don't have the numbers aren't there anymore, and they have for whatever reason, in the last 8 years or so, have given up on policy.
You know, I think a lot of people believe that this whole ridiculous impeachment thing is being pushed or originated from the MAGA group into the House. And I don't think it is. And here's why. I mean, I think MAGA is the ones that pushing it, but they're being directed. It's kind of like that old TV show, Who's the Boss? Well, I think the boss here is Donald Trump. He's still controlling MAGA and the House of Representatives. And here's, let me lay it out for you and see if you think I'm onto something here. You remember about 3-4 weeks ago where Donald Trump was just fucking unhinged, and he says, you people need to impeach Donald Trump or impeach Joe Biden right now. And he was flailing. Nobody really paid much mind. But now I'm hearing too that with this impeachment thing over the last couple of days, Donald Trump has huddled, as they say, with the GOP trying to strategize for this impeachment of Joe Biden. So it's kind of like what he does with the lawyers. Okay, you're the lawyers, but I'm going to tell you how to play this out. Doing the same thing with the House of Representatives. It's not a good idea to impeach him because it's going to hurt us. No, fuck you. You're going to do it my way, and this is what we're going to do. And frankly, Donald Trump's track record of wins doesn't bode well for this fucking strategy. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, it kind of does. I've been thinking to myself that this has been the impeachment inquiry has basically been all playing to a audience of one.
Yeah, true.
And I could see Donald Trump being behind the scenes pulling the strings because he thinks, for whatever reason, that if he can get an impeachment, even though the difference is there was evidence of the crimes Donald Trump committed, but if he can get an impeachment stain on Joe Biden's record, or one or multiple, he can turn around in the media when it comes time for re-election. Well, see, he was impeached too, so he's just as bad as I am. So vote for me instead.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's not about a strategy. It's about ego. I mean, he always does that false equivalency where he'll say, you're indicting me here, you're indicting me there. Why aren't you indicting Joe Biden? He only sees it that he's president, I was president. You should treat Joe Biden the same way. He doesn't factor in that he's actually committed crimes and their evidence, and Joe Biden hasn't. He thinks Joe Biden should be treated like he's being treated just by virtue of their similar positions. And it's stupid. It's ignorant. It's childish.
It is, but that's how Donald Trump has seemingly always lived his life.
Yeah, no
He's
question.
so used to getting his way, things going his way. I mean, hell, there was a story out, I think we talked about it, I don't know. Somebody said that when he had the Trump Taj Mahal, it was doing horrible
Right.
and he needed money. Well, to get around the tax code and not to avoid paying taxes on it, a story came out that said Fred Trump, his dad, hired somebody from his company, gave him $2 million, $3 million, whatever the
Five.
dollar amount was. Was it
I think it was
5?
5 million. Yeah.
Went into the casino, went into the high dollar room, bought that $5 million worth of poker chips, and left. Never made a single bet.
No. And never cashed them in.
And they never cashed him in. But Donald Trump got his way because he needed some money and he was able to do it, and he looks at it as, well, if I'm doing it, everybody must operate their casinos that way. It's
Right.
the way, that's just the way it is.
Well,
He doesn't.
you know how he failed in that casino, right? I mean, it goes back to what we've talked about with lawyers and he doesn't listen to anybody. Now, the casino would have flourished if he'd listened to somebody, but his ego wanted that casino to be the biggest and the greatest in the world, And as they're building this thing and they're spending all this money to build it up, the guys are saying, I'm looking at the algorithm here, and you can't spend more than this because this is the absolute most you could get every day in income. If you spend this much money on building it out, and you're only going to get X amount a day that you can count on, it's not going to work. You're going to fail. Donald Trump says, I know better. I'm going to fucking do it my way. And of course, when it came down to it, he had too much money into the building and the decorating of all this stuff. It wasn't enough. The money he was making in terms of gambling, which he kind of knew ahead of time what it would be, wasn't enough to pay it off, and he just fucking failed again. Donald Trump's stupidity, his poor uh, business acumen. He's fucking ignorant.
Well, I remember a story. I don't know if it was when that one failed or when one of his businesses failed. That another thing he was doing was that he was, even though he owned the company, every time he came to look over how the business was doing,
Yeah.
he charged his company a consulting fee that he took out of like let's say it was the Taj Mahal. He would charge the Taj Mahal a consulting fee for him to go look over his own company. He would take the consulting fee out of the Taj Mahal, put it into the Trump organization, and then also bill them for the price like of his helicopter or his plane or whatever he
Right.
took to get there. So no wonder it couldn't make any money.
Right. He was
On
he
top
was
of being ran stupid, he was bleeding it dry like he does with his base or whatever anybody else.
and it's not surprising that he has a hotel in Las Vegas, but could never get a gaming license in Vegas. He would love to have a gaming license, but they won't give it to him. They said, "Fuck no, you're a loser. It's not going to happen." He
Yeah.
he that's what I'm interested in about this October 2nd or October 5th lawsuit. Donald's whole life in business is about these little scams, these skimming of funds and gaming the system. I mean, that's essentially what that lawsuit is about. Um, Overinflating his properties to get better insurance or better loans, and then undervaluing them in order to pay less taxes. It's a very simple scam, and it's not hard to figure out. The evidence is there. He's going to lose that lawsuit, but I'm just wondering what other kind of scams and bullshit did he pull? I mean, you and I just talked about a couple that we haven't heard of with regards to the Letitia James things, but there's some of that in there too.
Oh, there's got to be. And you mentioned his property in Vegas. I think as much as he would want a gaming license, that might be the first one he lets go of.
Yeah,
If he has,
could
if
be.
he's got to sell something to make some money, I could see that one being one that he lets go of. It, outside of anything in New York, if he's not allowed to do business in New York, if he needs to raise some money, just because he can't get that gaming license anyway.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is, at this point, with his reputation, it's only going to get worse as time goes on. Any building that says Trump on it is less valuable than if it had somebody else's name on it at this point. I know people have bought buildings from him and took down the Trump sign as soon as possible because it was working against him.
Oh, I mean, not that I have that kind of money, but if I did, that'd be the first thing I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be associated with Donald Trump. And, that's where Donald Trump is headed. He's always this goofy guy on TV that was kind of popular and people thought was funny. But ultimately, when he goes through all these trials and all this evidence is released, he's going to be like a pariah in this country. I mean, his kids, his grandkids will probably want to change their last names, not unlike Hitler or Mussolini's kids.
Oh, I could see it. I could see them changing his name. They're changing their name. Um, I've heard of descendants of John Wilkes Booth. Like, I want to say they didn't even put like I could be wrong. I want to say they took his name off of his gravestone, because they didn't
Really?
want to be associated. I thought I heard that somewhere
That
that they
could
didn't
be.
want to be associated with him in that era of their family history. And um I could see them changing their name, trying to get away from it. But I think his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, I think when it all comes out, I think that Saudi money, he's probably going to be in a world of trouble for that yet. Because there's got to be something to that. He's throwing Eric and Don Jr. under the bus at every chance he can. I think they could end up wrapped up into some criminal liability.
Oh, no question. I mean, they're certainly part of the civil lawsuit, but it wouldn't surprise me. Here's another thing. I think I've said this to you before. When this lawsuit goes and he loses this thing, we know that Elvin Bragg in the Manhattan district had prosecuted his company and his CFO. But once all this stuff comes out, Elvin Bragg's getting a little cocky now because he won 17 convictions against the Trump organization. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if Elvin Bragg said, okay, now we're going to look at criminal charges against Don Jr., Eric, and the whole fucking bunch of them. We've convicted the company. They lost a lawsuit. Donald Trump's hands are all over everything. It may not make a difference with all the other indictments, but it wouldn't surprise me if he popped up and said, hey, give me some attention. I'm indicting this motherfucker too.
It could. I think the big loser in that, or the bigger losers out of that, wouldn't be Donald, only because of how much other criminal liability he's already got swirling around him.
Yeah.
What's a few more charges at this point? He's going to lose them all anyway. It's not going to matter. It would be the kids, whether he
Yeah.
gets Eric, Don Jr., Ivanka, Tiffany, if any of them have any sort of culpability in this and they get criminal charges, their names haven't gotten called in at any point anywhere yet, and they were just in the thick of it just as much as he was.
And they got 40 years to live and they got families and they got to earn money down the road. They're more fucked than Donald Trump at this point because Donald Trump is going to be 78 in 2024. I can't see him lasting much longer than 5 years after that, if that. But these kids, they're going to be around a while. They're going to have to try to make a living with that Trump name, and it ain't going to be easy.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something with the 5 years, five, maybe 10. And that's pushing it. And that's if he doesn't go to prison.
Yeah.
But they've got, they're all in their, what, 30s, 40s for the most
Right.
part.
Right.
You got the young one who's not, Barron, who's not even 18 yet,
Right.
or just barely 18. I could see him changing his name. Because
little
yeah, they have
hard.
started.
A little hard though. He's 6'8" and looks like Donald Trump. So I don't know if changing his name is going to do any good. I'm sure Melania is trying to figure out some way to protect his ass.
Well, one way that would protect him, I heard that she had left the country
That's what I heard too.
to, I'm not sure which country she came from, but
Um, yeah, Slovakia, I think.
that sounds right. Um, and besides staying there and staying out of the public spotlight there, maybe might do it. Really couldn't come back here by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, do you think she's went to Slovakia just to stay away from the publicity and the media? Or do you think she thinks she might be culpable for some shit? I mean, she had the first lady's thing, and there's some questionable shit that went on there too. Do you think she's trying to get away from possible prosecution herself?
Maybe. She could be. She could also be just trying to make a clean break. Um, I know right around the time she left, there was some speculation that Donald had been cheating on her with somebody else, like besides Stormy Daniels.
That couldn't be. Not
Oh,
Donald Trump.
that upstanding family man. But the funny part was who it supposedly was, and that was Carrie Lake.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Um, can you imagine that whole scenario? Carrie Lake, plastic face lady, getting getting cozy and getting romantic and saying, all right, Carrie, take your clothes off. And Donnie saying, I'm going to go in the bathroom first because I got to clean up a little bit before I can come out here and just hope to God I don't shit myself while we're in the middle of coitus.
Oh,
That paints a wonderful picture, doesn't it?
oh,
I
I
just
don't
hope
want to think about it.
I just hope people listening to the podcast aren't eating at the same point when they're listening to this podcast. I apologize in advance if you are.
Oh, that's a bad image. But I mean, at one point, the report was she was living at Mar-a-Lago. She was seen
Yeah.
out in public with him, with Donnie, more than Melania was.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
rumors flying. I haven't heard lately if it's still the case, but
Well, where's she got to
in her
go?
head,
She can't go back to Arizona. They fucking hate her there.
oh no. The thing that gets me is if it is true, I could see what he's trying to, what he's thinking is, well, oh man, she's all cozy up with me. I'll quietly divorce Melania. We'll get with her. I'll make her my running mate. And then when I get elected, we'll just be king and queen.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Carrie Lake has got to be the most pitiful human being I've ever seen. She loses the race handily. And to this day, a year and a half later or more, she's still saying, I think I won. No, you didn't, bitch. If you won, you'd be in the governor's mansion. But she's just like Donald Trump. And I think they can bullshit their way through and get what they want. Hopefully Donald Trump is understanding that, yeah, that's not working. You better try a new strategy.
I doubt it. He doesn't learn from anything. Um,
I mean, the bottom line with Donald Trump, people always try, Trump fucks always say, well, he's just strategizing. Just you wait. What my perception of him when I hear him talk is he is absolutely ignorant, borderline illiterate. He is so stupid. It just amazes me he's been able to stay afloat this long. Because when you're that stupid, you're bound to fucking sabotage yourself, whether it be in business or politics. And of course, he already has in politics.
you would think that he'd be able to get him, uh, yeah, he would have sabotaged himself. Like I've said, reading the transcripts of some of his speeches, you need a roadmap to figure out where he's going
Yeah.
because it doesn't make any sense. Like it barely makes sense if you listen to him say it, but then when you read it in print, good Lord.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, well, I've been noticing some stories here and there, and I don't know if how much validity they have, but I can see it be the case. People are saying there's more and more evidence that he was basically a Russian, certainly a Russian, maybe a Chinese operative. Um, and people will say, now he's too stupid for that. I go, no, he's just stupid enough to be that because he doesn't actually even have to know he's an operative. All he has to do is have people who know how to manipulate him, and he's a useful idiot. And that's what he's been for Russia. I don't know that he purposely was an agent for Russia, but I know they used the fuck out of him because he spent a lot of time with Putin, a lot of time alone with Putin. Nobody knows what went on. Putin's smart enough to fucking manipulate that piece of shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, as you've said, all it takes is somebody clapping him on the back saying, "Oh, Donnie, you're the greatest president ever. You're the smartest man I've ever met," and a few more things like that. And that's all it takes to get him to pretty much do and green light whatever you're saying. Um, so no, I don't think he had to be intelligent at all to be a foreign agent. Um, and in some of this, I don't even know if he was a willing accomplice necessarily, if he even realized what he was doing was that bad.
Yeah. No, I don't think he did. I mean, he honestly believes he can do virtually anything. If it comes out of his mouth, it's true and it should be obeyed. Everything he does is brilliant. Uh, that's the bottom line to his problem. He doesn't know he can be wrong, and when he's wrong, he argues against it. And this is what gets him in trouble. And this is why he believes he can say and do anything. Now he's starting to get a little bit of pushback over it. Eventually, it's going to crush him. Like I said, whether he gets put on house arrest or ultimately ends up in jail, he's going to be in a situation where he has no control and everything he says is disregarded, and he's going to lose his shit.
Oh, definitely. He's not going to be able to handle that. Um, especially, when those cell doors close on him and, he's finally locked away and he doesn't have an ability to reach the masses. It would drive him clinically insane.
I think it will. I mean, there's some question as to his mental acuity right now. I mean, did you hear the story where somebody questioned it and he got all butthurt and he says, we should have a mental acuity contest. We could have Joe Biden come in and me and Rupert Murdoch, and I guarantee you I would win. I guarantee you you wouldn't win. And I guarantee you you wouldn't even fucking show up. I mean, Joe Biden is old and he's a little doddering, but he's still a lot healthier than Donald Trump and a lot mentally clearer than Donald Trump. Um, I don't know how he can rattle on these crazy rants that have no context at all and think he's brilliant, or other people think he's brilliant. It's really the epitome of a cult. You almost have to be brainwashed to be dumb enough to believe the shit he says and still support him. But God damn it, there's still a lot of people that do.
Thing is, part of it is, yes, it's a cult, and they buy into him as their cult leader. But I could guarantee you at least half of his remaining Trump fuck base, while right now they believe every word out of his mouth is pure gold and comes from the mouth of God.
Mm-hmm.
If he came out tomorrow and said, I'm going to run against Joe Biden and I'm going to primary him as a Democrat, they would drop him like a hot potato, and everything. They wouldn't believe a word he said. They
Some
only believe it because he's got that R next to his name.
somebody somebody made a comment to me. They said, well, if Donald Trump was a Democrat, would you still go after him? First and foremost, Donald Trump was a Democrat before he was ever a Republican. But would I still feel the same way? Fucking A right. What he's done to this country, really, the party doesn't have any bearing. The only reason the party comes into play is because they still support him. So you got to take that down too. But I don't care who the fuck he represents. Anybody that's that corrupt and that criminal needs to fucking go. If he was the fucking Pope, I would say the same thing.
Oh, I agree with you, but like I said, I think there's a section of his base that only hangs on to his every word because he's got the right letter next to his name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could show them proof of him being a Democrat before. They don't care. They'll discount anything he said while he had that D next to his name, but the minute he switched, oh, he saw the light.
Yeah. Well, of course he was Democrat because that's how he got buddies with JFK. You know,
Yeah.
they qualify it somehow. And when I sit there and watch these people being interviewed, I'm thinking, do you realize how stupid what you just said is? And they don't. And they don't. And
No,
even
they
when
don't.
they're called out and questioned on it, um, like as far as criminality and stuff, when somebody corners them and he says the shit he does, their question about the shit he says, their answer is, I don't care. And it reminds me of when I was a younger man and I worked at a small radio station in Arizona, and the town was largely Mormon. And, I had a Mormon boss and a Mormon landlord, and they were fine to me. But on a regular basis, I had young Mormon men with film strips coming at my door trying to convince me to become a Mormon. And because I was young and had a penchant for debating, I said, come on in, motherfuckers, let's talk. And whenever I'd catch them in a spot where they couldn't answer it, this reminds me of Republicans. Whenever I caught them in a spot where they couldn't answer it, they say, well, I know it's true because I feel it in my heart. Yeah, motherfucker. You don't have an answer. That's all you got. And that's what we're looking at with the Republicans. They asked him about evidence with regards to this impeachment thing. And James Comer said, well, how come he's got expensive houses and he's got this and he's got this? There must be something going on. Yeah, but that's not how the law works, bitch. You got to have evidence. I bet you a lot of Republicans have some pretty fucking nice houses. I'd love to see Mitch McConnell's house. I bet you it's beautiful. and he's only making $178,000 a year. How does that happen?
Yeah, only. Um, yeah, it's their way of jumping to conclusions is so leaves I don't know, it's weird. It's how they pull that off. It's like they stare at the situation and they go, well, this must equal that.
Right.
And then you present, oh well, hey, he got paid for a book deal or he got paid for a couple of speeches he gave. Oh no, he couldn't have made that much doing those things. It had to be something wrong. Like they want to discount anything that doesn't fit their narrative, just like they do with religion. You're on the right path.
Well, I think, I've said this before too. Um, the Somebody suggested this about the Republicans, and I said we should do it for all people. We should take a poll or a survey of all members of Congress, the House and the Senate. How much money do you have? Where did you get it? And everybody should have to tell us because they all make similar amounts of money. Granted, it's a good salary of $175,000 a year or thereabouts, but how do you accumulate $30 million when you only make that much money? You represent this country. You're a politician. You're supposed to protect the Constitution. So if you have $20 million, you should be required to tell us how you got that and who you got it from. And that should apply to Democrats and Republicans, as far as I'm concerned, because Democrats can be just as bad.
Oh, definitely. I know one of the things they're trying to shore up is the insider trading using congressional knowledge to make money. And I'd say that is maybe the one stain on Nancy Pelosi's record is
Absolutely.
that she's made a lot of money in the stock market. And I don't personally do not feel that Congress people should be able to buy and sell stock.
No, I mean, whether it be Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell or anybody in the House or the Senate, you can't really admonish them too much about making money the way they do in the stock market because they're allowed to do it. It's like no code of ethics in the Supreme Court. Yeah, what they're doing is bad, but there's no rules that stop them from doing it. That's the problem. That's where we have to take control. We have to create those rules, whether it be for insider trading. I mean, how fucking smart do you have to be? Maybe we should control insider trade. Oh yeah, you think? You think that'd be a good idea? But the problem is people in Congress and the Supreme Court make those decisions for themselves. So it isn't surprising that they game the system to benefit them.
Oh, definitely. And I want to say when they did pass the insider trading law, that they exempted members of Congress from it, I believe.
Right. And who did
Um,
that? And who exempted the members of Congress?
Members of
Members of
Congress.
Congress. There you go.
Um, but I want to say I saw something just recently on TikTok about that law only ever got passed because somebody had seen the same thing done on oh, what movie was it? Was it Trading Spaces with Eddie Murphy and
Don
Dan
Amici
Aykroyd,
and
maybe?
I think it was Eddie Murphy, Don Amici, and I know what you're talking about, where they took this
They,
young
they,
kid, Eddie Murphy, in and they tried to train him to be a trader.
right, but I think he got I think that was the movie where he got a some sort of an insider report ahead of time. Yeah, and then he funneled they falsified the report, gave it to his bosses, the two main antagonists of the movie, and they bought and sold based on bad information, and they Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd busted these two guys, took them from millionaires to zeros. But basically, the idea of that movie is what ended up leading to the insider trading law.
Really?
That's what somebody on TikTok was saying. I haven't looked into it myself,
And
but
if it's on TikTok, it's got to be fucking
it
true.
well, it at least sounds good. So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I could see it that somebody they made a funny movie out of it, and then somebody went, "Hey, wait a minute! I wonder if that really happens," and got the ball rolling.
Well, it goes back to what we said before. There was a time when we didn't have the internet and a time when we didn't have a 24-hour uh, news cycle. There was a lot of shit that went on with our government that we just never knew about. So when something like that comes out in a movie like that, somebody sits back, is that really true? Is that what's happening? That's fucked up. I better look into that. And so now with what we've got going, everybody seems to know a lot about everything, and they're getting pushback over it. That's one of the reasons why they want to shut down TikTok. They don't like the fact that people like you and me are talking about them and not talking about them in a positive way.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and we're hashing things out against both sides of the aisle. I mean, it's mostly Republicans, but we've said some negative things about the Democrats too. Mostly that they need to some of them need to retire, but you got the insider trading and their inaction on certain legislation. And neither side likes the fact that we're not, you know, over the moon in love and singing the praises of their party.
Right. Way I look at it is, here's an analogy. I love analogies and I just pull them out of my ass. If you have linoleum floor, all right, and in one spot you have a big old pile of vomit. Again, if you folks are eating, thank you. Uh, a big old pile of vomit and a smaller puddle of milk. Which one do you clean up first? You clean up the vomit because it's so fucking gross, and then you go get the milk. I see the Democrats as the milk and the Republicans as the vomit. We're just taking care of the most important thing. It's about priorities, but we got some shit to clear up with the Democrats too.
Oh, we definitely do. Another thing I saw one of the creators I follow on TikTok, and I can't think of her name right now. But she was saying she started to now push back, even though she has said Joe Biden's too old. It shouldn't, the nominee should be somebody younger or would prefer somebody younger. She said she's pushing back against the if not Joe, then who? It's not that we have a shortage of people. We have plenty
No,
of talent in the Democratic Party. It's Joe Biden is the nominee. If we have to back him because he's going to be our nominee. And then uh but we have a pool of deep talent behind him. If he decided tomorrow of his own volition that he was not going to run, there's a laundry list of people who could take up the mantle and be the nominee if we,
no,
in a
absolutely.
primary.
Absolutely. And when I hear people talking about, well, who's going to run? Well, Joe's going to run unless he keels over. He's going to run. You may or may not like that, but the fact is, this is where we are. You got to take the best shot at winning the election to make sure Donald Trump or some other Republican fuck doesn't get in there. And Joe Biden, he's the incumbent, which gives him an advantage. He's got a track record of being pretty successful in office. Um, he's the only one that can really run right now. And that's why I was kind of impressed and proud of Gavin Newsom. Everybody talked about Gavin Newsom running for president in 2024. And granted, he might be a great candidate. I kind of like the guy. I don't know enough about him yet, but I like the guy. But he said, yeah, no, I'm going to support Joe Biden in 2024. That's the smart thing to say. He can wait his turn to 2028 and maybe he wins the presidency and maybe he doesn't, but he understands how the game is being played here. We got to win this thing. We can't take a risk by putting somebody else in that may be exposed for some other fucking scandal that's going on.
True, and I think that's one of the things that did kind of come back to bite us in 2016 was the Bernie Bros and with Hillary.
Yeah.
It, um, we weren't a unified party,
Right.
and I say I do lean independent, but I lean heavier Democratic right now because they're the only party that makes any damn sense,
Right.
and they have policies and positions and everything. But the Democrats weren't necessarily a unified party even after they gave Hillary the nomination.
No, they
She
weren't.
never unified the party behind her candidacy. And there was a big swath of people that broke come in the ballot box who caucused for Bernie but voted for Trump.
Right. They got butthurt and they said, well, if it's not my guy, then I'm going to vote against Hillary Clinton, which was fucking stupid. You know, the thing about Trump in 2016, we had no idea what it would turn out to be. We knew he was inexperienced. We knew he was goofy. We knew he was a liar, but how bad could it get? Well, Bernie Bros, take a look at how bad it got. Thank you.
Exactly. And I think that's why we have to back Joe Biden, like him or hate him, or he's too old, whatever the case may be. We back him until he decides of his own, until either his health or he decides of his own volition to resign, to not run, whatever the case may be. I just hope that it doesn't come where at a point when it's too late for us to put up a candidate.
Right. And that's the problem with Joe Biden. At his age, something can happen. A stroke, a death, and it could come the day before the election. It could. And that's why he's a bit of a risk to put up, but it's even more of a risk to put somebody else up. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I hope he stays healthy and cognizant up through the election on November of 2024. After that, if things fall apart, I'm cool with it. As long as the Democrats have the power, Kamala comes in or whoever comes in, I'm fine with that. Because no matter what Democrats you pick, it's 100% better than Trump or any other Republican. I just need him to get there, get through the election and win. And then whatever happens, happens. Because we got 4 years with Democratic power, or at least 2 years with Democratic power to do what we need to do.
I would agree with you with one minor change. Instead of past the election, I think the goalpost needs to be January 20th, 2025.
After the inauguration.
After the inauguration.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Because
you.
I don't want to, I would hate to see whatever could happen. Because I don't think it's ever happened where a candidate has won the election and not lived to inauguration day. And I would hate to see what bullshit gets tried to pull, where they tried to say, well, Kamala didn't actually win. She can't be the president because she wasn't voted for president.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any sort of BS there where they try to pull something in the
That's true because it's a little different because he would still be president prior to 2025, January 20th. But yeah, I see what you mean. And it's just that kind of thing that the Republicans would pull out of their ass. Oh, see, there's a special amendment that says if you don't make it to the inauguration, then we give it to the Republicans. It sounds silly, but you can see them saying that.
or they would try to use it when I know they changed the rules for January 6th and the certification of the Electoral College, but I could see them trying to make a big stink about it.
So yeah, good
Well,
point.
see, Kamala's the vice president, but see, Joe didn't live, so she's actually going to be the president. So of course she'd certify her own win to be president. He's got to make it not just to January 20th. I think. I mean, obviously, after that, whatever happens, happens. But I would like to see him make it at least his first 2 years.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I have no joy in the idea of Joe Biden dying. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's been a good president. But when you're 82, shit happens. I know a lot of people that died at 82. It's a
Yeah.
weird age. And it is a little troubling. One of the things that people, when they look at Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House, they always say he's third in line to be the president. What they don't understand is in order for the Speaker of the House to be president, both the president and the vice president have to die almost simultaneously. Because if the president dies and the vice president becomes the president, the first thing they're going to do is appoint another vice president. So now you're still third in line. The likelihood of a Secretary of State becoming president is slim unless, somebody bombs the fucking White House when they're both there. Other than that, it's not going to happen.
It is slim. I mean, and I don't see how Kevin McCarthy being third in line really shouldn't matter. It shouldn't worry us.
No,
They only put it in place as a, hey, let's clarify the rules, because there were no rules for the
right,
longest time. It was always vice president, well, becomes president. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, now what happens?
right.
And they decided to make some rules. But too many people look at it and go, oh man, that could really happen. No, no, it can't. Kevin McCarthy's never going to be president.
No,
He's probably never going to hold the speakership ever again. With as weak and as ineffective as he is, I don't know how his district looks, but he might even face an uphill battle in his own district to get reelected.
I think a lot of Republicans will face an uphill battle. We're going to wind things down here, but I wanted to ask you about this. Matt Gaetz went on the floor after Kevin McCarthy talked and basically threatened Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, you made a baby step starting this inquiry, but there's a lot of stuff left you should do. And if you don't get on the stick and ramp up this impeachment and start fighting to cut things for the budget, you could lose your job. I think this is a fucking huge bluff. I think it's a huge bluff because if they hold this, and I think Kevin McCarthy knows that, they hold this over Kevin McCarthy's head, then they actually go to vote, a vote of no confidence for Kevin McCarthy. I don't think it works. I don't think it passes. And then all of a sudden, MAGA will be exposed for the weak ass fucks they are.
Oh, definitely. I don't think it passes. I mean, in theory, you need 218 Republicans or 218 votes in the House to remove the speaker.
Right.
There's 213 Democrats. Okay,
Right.
that's 5 votes. That's 5 votes shy of saving Kevin McCarthy's speakership. Well, Kevin McCarthy's going to vote to keep himself speaker, so there's one more. So he only needs 4.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, so she's behind Kevin McCarthy 100%. Now he's down to only needing 3. And you
Right.
tell me that there's not 3 more Republicans anywhere in the House, and that's if all the Republicans show up.
Right. Right.
If for everyone that's missing, that number goes down. I mean, you're telling me he can't find 3 more people to save his job?
Well, that's the thing about Matt Gaetz and the Freedom Caucus. They want to threaten this. They're just like Republicans. They make threats, but they never follow through because they know they can't win. The last thing they want to do is put the impeachment or the no confidence vote against Kevin McCarthy because they can't win either. And then all of a sudden they're losers. I mean, why do you think Kevin McCarthy said, yeah, we're not going to vote on this. I'm just going to say, go ahead and do it. Because he knew it wouldn't pass.
Oh, there's no way it would have passed. They couldn't have got that along party lines. And as much as I hate to say it, it's where he took he didn't take a page out of Nancy Pelosi's book, because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have just said it, we're going to do this. But her book always said, we don't hold a vote unless I have the votes to pass it.
Right, right.
So in a way, he twisted what she would have done
Right.
to make it fit his narrative, but he didn't want to hold a vote because he knew it wouldn't pass.
Well, we know he doesn't have much power with votes regarding votes because it took him 15 times to get himself fucking elected. He does. I mean, he had to basically go over and threaten Matt Gaetz to fucking do what he was supposed to do. And, that's the thing. If they did kick Kevin McCarthy out, who's going to be the speaker then? Name one person in the Republican caucus in the House of Representatives that can get 218 votes. That caucus is so divided, they couldn't agree on anybody.
I would have to look through the list of names of the entire 218 and find the one name out of there that I don't recognize that's never
Right.
been in the headlines.
Right.
They would have to be the most non-spotlight seeking Republican.
Yeah.
And they might be the only one with a chance, just because they stay out of their own way.
But even if they are obscure, do you really believe that MAGA is going to vote for anybody that's not MAGA or not in the Freedom Caucus? And if they stick to their own people to vote for, they only got 35 votes. The rest of the caucus is going to fucking blow them out of the water. What would happen if you have the House of Representatives, you kick Kevin McCarthy out, and you've got no Speaker of the House? I'm curious, what happens then? Does somebody fill in? Does Marjorie
No.
Taylor Greene become the interim?
No, they go the way I understand it. I could be wrong. It would go back to how things were at the beginning of Congress. No speaker means no business.
Right.
They would be shut. The House itself would be shut down. Nothing could be done until they elect a new speaker.
Right. Well, but frankly, we've got Kevin McCarthy as Speaker currently, and there's no business, so it wouldn't be much of a change.
Except for the fact that they at least have the ability to do business.
Yeah, true.
They couldn't vote on anything other than voting for a speaker until they elected a new speaker. That would be they couldn't, if let's say they didn't pass this funding the government bill in the interim, and they hold the no confidence vote while the government's shut down until they elect a speaker, they can't pass any funding bill to fund the government until there's a speaker. So the government stays shut down until they find a new speaker.
Right. And that would be a prime time for the Democrats to take their 213 votes, pick out who they want in the Republican Party, get 5 more votes in the Republican Party, and put in who they want. But honestly, I think the Democrats are fine with Kevin McCarthy being Speaker of the House. He's so incompetent, so inept. He's going to do nothing but help them in 2024.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, I think they'll back him in a no confidence vote just to stick it to MAGA. But if they do, by some miracle, vote out Kevin McCarthy, and they have to vote the new speaker, and it starts becoming a circus. Now, I said this before when they were having all the 13 votes, 15 votes, whatever it was, to elect him speaker. What are the chances that they end up 5 Republicans cross the aisle and vote for Hakeem Jeffries?
Right, right.
And stick it to, since nothing's getting done, and they voted out their own speaker. Maybe they say fuck this shit and put Hakeem Jeffries up as speaker, just so some business gets done.
Right, right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised back when they were discussing when Joe and Kevin were discussing the the raising the debt. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't part of the negotiation. Kevin was in a bad spot in that if he didn't do what MAGA wanted, he was potentially going to get kicked out, and I'm sure that made him nervous. So then Joe had to come up with some help for him, and he, as far as I'm concerned, he might have just said, "Listen, man, you can't win either way here. Just do what I got to do, and I'll make sure all Democrats support you if they try to do this bullshit." And because when he came out of those negotiations, Kevin was pretty chipper. He wasn't delivering for MAGA, but he wasn't worried about getting his ass kicked out either.
Could be, and Democrats might have to go to that same game plan again, because if he knows he's got at least 4 or 5 votes for sure, like we said, he only needs 3 more with what we've talked about.
Right.
If he has all Democrats beside him.
And over and above that, like I said, if they try to kick him out, a no confidence vote, just among the Republicans, I don't think they have 218 votes, which is what they need. It ain't going to fucking happen.
I don't think they have it either, but I mean, simple fact is I don't see the Democrats voting against him, no matter how ineffective he is, because they know, like we said, they'll be back to square one. They won't be able to do anything. And the Republicans are never going to come up with a decent speaker or anybody able to lead that caucus.
No, the Republicans are in a fucking mess. It's a shit show. and they'll be lucky to keep the whole party alive by the time this is all said and done after the election in 2024. The Republican Party, as we know it, may be decimated after the 2024 election. They're either going to have to change or come up with a new fucking name and new leaders, because the Republicans aren't going to be strong after the 2024 election.
No, they're not. They're going to be very, very weak unless something drastically changes with the economy and beyond the typical Republican talking point of, oh, the economy is so bad under Joe Biden. I mean, tangible detrimental effects on the economy. We start shedding jobs or something like that. You know, I don't see any way where the Democrats do not pick up seats in the House, where they don't keep the Senate and reelect Joe Biden.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Eric, we're going to wrap things up for the Rational Boomer podcast. Once again, thank you for coming in. It's always interesting to have you on the show and get your insights direct from the tropic climes of Iowa.
Oh. Well, thanks for having me. I don't know if I can call it tropics, but it's been nicer here lately. At least we're out of the 100-degree heat.
Yeah, no
But
shit.
hopefully we can avoid the super cold for at least a little while.
Yeah, we got to avoid the superstorms as much as we possibly can. All right, for those of you listening to the show, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. Hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.